Culture 8. Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes, Fact File. The author of the Sherlock Holmes stories was Arthur Conan Doyle, 1859 to 1930. He was born in Scotland and studied medicine at Edinburgh University. He worked as a doctor, but in his spare time he wrote detective stories. He wrote the first Sherlock Holmes story in 1887. His detective hero lives at 221B Baker Street in London. Holmes is tall and thin, with a long, sharp face. He usually wears a deerstalker hat, smokes a pipe or cigarettes, and carries a magnifying glass. He is extremely intelligent and is a brilliant violinist. Holmes's assistant is Dr. Watson, an ex-army officer. Watson is less intelligent than Holmes. In one Sherlock Holmes film, when Watson asks Holmes how he solved a crime, Holmes's famous reply is, "Elementary, my dear Watson." Holmes's greatest enemy is Professor Moriarty. At the end of one story, they both die, but Doyle's fans were so upset that he had to bring Holmes back to life in another story.
Culture 8. Exercises 4 and 6.
Today on Film Review, I'm talking to Mark Jackson about the famous detective Sherlock Holmes. First of all, Mark, can you tell us how many film and TV adaptations of the Sherlock Holmes stories there are?
There are hundreds. No one knows exactly because some have been lost. But the first was a short film made in 1900. Lots were made in the 1920s, and it hasn't stopped since. At least 78 different actors have played the character of Sherlock Holmes in films and TV dramas.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes. No other fictional character has appeared so often on cinema and TV screens.
Why is that? What is it about the stories that is so appealing?
I think it's the character of Holmes. The stories themselves are not that brilliant. They're good, they're clever, but there are better detective stories. It's really the character of Holmes that is unique and fascinating.
In what way?
Well, he's a very complex character. He's extremely intelligent. He believes that no one is as intelligent as himself, except perhaps his great enemy, Professor Moriarty.
So arrogant and vain too.
Yes, arrogant and vain. And he doesn't care what other people think of him. But he's also very imaginative, very observant, and also very brave.
And he has a dark side to his character, doesn't he?
Yes, he's very unemotional, very cold. He's quite unsympathetic. He can't understand other people's feelings. And he doesn't understand women at all. Dr. Watson describes him in one of the stories as a brain without a heart, and more a machine than a man.
Does he have hobbies or other interests?
He plays the violin, but he gets bored and depressed very easily. And when he's feeling down, he sometimes goes to bed and sleeps all day.
So, like many popular heroes, he has lots of faults.
Yes, in that way, he is very human.
There are two recent TV adaptations of the Sherlock Holmes stories, a British one and an American one.
Yes, and the interesting thing is that the stories are set in the present day. So there's the BBC drama called Sherlock, starring Benedict Cumberbatch. They use some of the original stories, but they have added lots of humour. Then there's an American show called Elementary. It's set in New York, and it stars Johnny Lee Miller as Holmes and Lucy Liu as Watson.
Lucy Liu, a woman? That's different.
Yes, but it works, I think.
And it's set in New York, so is Holmes American?
No, Miller plays him as British. but Miller has changed Holmes's character a bit. Miller's Holmes is very scruffy, whereas in the original stories, Holmes is very well dressed. And in the TV series, Holmes has girlfriends.
Really? Is Watson his girlfriend?
No, not Watson. That would be too far from the original story and make them very different characters.
Do you think there will ever be a female Holmes?
People have accepted a female Watson, so yeah, why not? I think it's bound to happen sometime.